I interviewed President Lula along with the Brazil Wire back in January. Definitely watch the interview, which you can on Michael Brooks Show YouTube if you haven't yet. I asked him, with his history before being president as a great labor organizer in Brazil, what would be the tactics to organize people in essentially the Uberized sector? And he said to me that this is one of his areas of deepest concern in Brazil and across the world. How labor action could take place, and how could bonds be built in such a ruthlessly atomized work environment. And he had some ideas about it. And I thought of that and was so moved because of these incredible demonstrations taking place from the food carriers strike in protest of low wages, of brutal work conditions that's taking place across Brazil. This is definitely one of those things that, when we talk about genuinely having global convergence, this should come to the United States. This is central to all of the problems and crises we face in the United States right now. And of course, echoes the amazing work of Chris Smalls and the Amazon strike. And I do want to note that, a lot of these companies, have jumped on board with what Cedric Johnson has called he's called it blackwashing, to sort of pretend to embrace and so on the uprisings that have happened the last several weeks. Remember the position these companies play in the economy, and remember their implications for all of our economic and social lives. Of course, first and foremost, the workers. So let's just play some of this footage from Brazil. This is in Sao Paulo, of these marching delivery men on their motorcycles. It's just awesome.
Sounds like cars are honking approvingly too, which is one of the best parts of getting out for the BLM protest.
Right. To have this in Brazil in the context of skyrocketing COVID cases, which of course Bolsonaro has been pushing on the population, constant threats of things like military coups, implications of things like military coups, and just complete political instability. This is extraordinary, and it really recenters the politics. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. This is what solidarity looks like. And a lot of these companies are global. So it would be really great and probably necessary to see international unions popping up of people who work for these companies all over the world, because they're fully globalized. The fight needs to be too. Also, this is going to be an increasingly important sector in which labor action needs to be happening as it becomes more and more of our economy, especially as more people are falling out of the, shall we say, averagely employed, averagely paid sector and captured by this hyper exploitative sector of gig work.
Yeah, and I would look into the work of Chuka Ejekam, who is a researcher and labor organizer in Canada. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He has a really good framework for global organizing.